positions for which political parties sometimes stand for sometimes very vague, very undistinctive. You can't differentiate whether this is a position of a political party A from a political party B. But talking of national interest, we have had even people in Uganda, for example, from opposition who have said, I think on this one, government has done it right. On this, government has done right, but on this, they have failed, and this have failed. I've seen this, I think it has been Kizza Besigye. Sometimes has come up to say, I think on this one, I agree with the government. On this one, there may not be many, but at least there are agreements that some of the political parties. I also have seen this from Chairman Mao. They sometimes, when in their presentation, they'll tell you that maybe President Museveni here is right, but this is wrong, which is also, for me, healthy.
But you know, there are certain things that we need to agree upon and say this should actually be Uganda. Trust and say this is Uganda. Whether Dr. Kizza Besigye agrees with President Museveni or President Museveni agrees with Mao or anything, because it's one thing for one leader to actually say, I agree with President Museveni on this particular issue, but there needs to be something. For example, when we talk about security, we need to appreciate and agree and say we all need a secure country. Who doesn't want to move from this place to go to another place? And you're secure, you're safe. You know that when you drive from here and you're going to Nigeria or wherever, you'll drive and get there safely. Who doesn't want to know that when I leave office like this, go back home, I will sleep and have my sound sleep, then wake up in the morning, go and do work or so. When we look at what has actually been happening, the Vijambia bit of it now, whoever does it undermines the security, undermines the security actually of the entire nation. When you go home and you find a chipapula thrown somewhere to say, Tuliba Vijambia and we are coming to you tomorrow night or something like that, it worries you. It causes you to get pressure, your sugar levels rise and all the things too. One of the things that we can't just agree and say, please, it is security. And with security, we will not compromise. Because I think even when you are in a home and you do not agree with the wife or something like that, and you hear somebody knocking the gate or hitting the gate, you stop your fight in the house and say there is some intruder coming into the compound whom we should actually now unite against. You have issues of the food and stuff like that in the house. But when somebody comes in from outside that you do not know, then you agree and say, later, let's do anything to make sure that we fight the enemy. Then exactly. Then when we get back to our issues, we sort them out as husband and wife. Why can't we get there and just appreciate and say, for this, yes, we will go without having dissenting voices and waiting for so and so to possibly accept with another's position. This
is where the issue of political platform comes in, that there must be interaction, there must be that connectivity within the political systems. Then the mechanisms for which some of these systems are formed may differ from one country to another, but we need to have people talking. We need to have political parties and leaders of different political shades talking. That's when sometimes you have to agree on certain common things like security, like health. Now that we're in the pandemic, but when you wait, which has been a common practice in some of the African societies, that you wait, you see someone has made a mistake, then you say, no, for us we knew. But for you who knew, what is the position? What do you bring on table? So other than trying to look for where others have failed, it is also good to make a contribution before the failure occurs. Because when you are talking about security, we are talking about health, you are talking about the lives of people. When you hear so many have died, these are not just statistics. The lives that we have lost. So it is that working it together. So when I hear some people saying we cannot sit together and talk, it is not about you, but it is about those who follow you. For you may be okay, you may be secure, but not that everyone who follows you or your supporters, your members, are as secure as you. So if you are to secure all Ugandans, then there must be some point of commonality where we can meet, where we can talk, even when we don't disagree, but we'll have come to a point of understanding each other.
Okay, well, we expect the president to address the nation tonight, and we just here waiting for him. The president promised that he will be addressing the nation tonight, and we just are waiting for him to come and address us this very evening. We do not know what the president is going to tell us, and
Exactly.
yes, exactly, and it is his discretion to address the nation on anything and to update us and let us know what is happening countrywide. And of course, it is where we are for just that particular issue. Ndugu Mtuta, lots of things continue happening, and like you said, you hinted on an issue of politicization of everything in here, and just because of that, we tend to say this is what the people want. Now, our leaders oftentimes actually led by the people that they lead. I want to think so, and I want to think that it actually happens to us here, because it is the people that we, the led, who in most cases actually determine, we set the narrative of how we should be led. Is that the way to go? Is that the best thing for us to do, especially if we will progress as a nation?
In most cases, it is believed that the leaders are the replica of society that they represent, because where you have many Catholics, they are likely to have a Catholic representative. Where you have many Muslims, they are likely to have a Muslim representative. And where you have many drunkards, they are likely to have a drunkard as their leader. But that also means that what they believe as the values is what you see in their leaders. But sometimes it has also been a problem of information, because why do I vote for candidate A and not candidate B? Now, in most cases, it has been a problem of information or lack of it, that where you don't have information, then someone is going to give you some money, and then you are going to vote for that person. And we have had this happen. Then sometimes people begin saying, we wish we knew. This is late. But what happens is that these leaders are also human beings. You cannot have a leader telling you that, especially, let's talk at the national level, when you have members of parliament, that people will say, when you took that decision in parliament, did you come to consult us? Or the leader will say, this is what my people want, and I'm going to stand by that. Now, that connection or disconnection also has issues. Are you going to consult people on every aspect before you go to parliament to discuss an issue even where people have no idea about? Or are you going to take decisions basing on what you understand and your conscience tells you is the right thing, and then your people even sometimes question what you are discussing? Well, then beyond the individuals who are involved, then what is the position of their political organizations? What do they stand on this part? Like we said, it is very important that political parties should have stands, positions on every aspect that concern the society that they represent. Otherwise, in most cases, that is not there. Then the leader has to decide what is good for the people. And some of the decisions may not be exactly what people want, but virtue cannot be tolerated in politics. Something has to be done to fill that gap. Okay. So these are some of the gaps that we have in our administration. But the most important thing is that the leader must go with his people. Whether that is the right thing or the wrong thing, unfortunately, it happens.
Okay. We are now discussing bail issues, and we are saying, well, if the technical people there do not do it, then it should possibly come to the public court, which is a referendum. Already, everybody has a prejudged mind on bail issues. Do you think it would be something very easy to go around the country if we decided to go for a referendum on bail issues and talk to the people about bail, and the people understand what bail is? Because do the people first and foremost today even understand what bail is? If we decided to go for a referendum, what would this country look like deciding on bail, whether for or against?
It happens with Brexit, happened.
Exactly.
For those who thought that being in the EU was a problem to them, he said, no, we must leave.
At every cost.
Yes, but the progressives who thought that being together was a strong point, a strength for them to be able to do many things, yes, exactly. They said we should remain. Now, information, like we said, is key. Now, when you put this question to an old woman in the village or to any other ordinary person in the village, the stand will be based on which side of the bail has ever been or experienced. Has one been to court and needed bail, or to cells and needed bail and it was not granted to them? Or have they lost a person, like the president said, who has been killed and not much justice has been served? So it's going to be a divide if it were put to a referendum. I personally don't believe that it needs to go that way. I believe that it could be, we take studies from other countries, what has happened, because we are not the first person to have a problem with it. What has happened in some other countries that are still using the same law that we are using here. I think we can learn lessons from that without necessarily going to the public, because I don't think that the public is going to discuss this issue conclusively.
Don't you think that the discussion that we're having about bails recently is also a very good fertile ground for or a good recipe for mob justice in this country? Because all of us are discussing these things the way we understand them. The legal brains are discussing it, the ignoramuses are also discussing it, the Tom, Dicks and Harrys of this country are also discussing it, and everybody has an opinion about this. Don't you think that from what we are discussing and at different platforms and different levels is also a very good breeding ground and a good recipe for mob justice, for the people to actually indict the judicial system and decide to go without it?
Apparently, they seem to be like the judicial officers have a common position. There are not many dissenting voices from within the fraternity of the legal practice. But we are having most of the other voices coming from other centers of authority, including the executive. We're also having issues with, some also members coming up of parliament with different views. But I think we can take that pain to listen to the professionals, and then we can be guided on what will be the right thing to do. If there are amendments to be done, still I think the professionals have to guide on how best it can be done, but also learning from other best practices that have been done elsewhere in the world that we can co-opt and maybe have then a smooth run. Otherwise, we may be running into an impasse, a legal impasse, when we cannot move ahead, but at the same time that we need to move. So I think there are many experiences that we can learn from, and we can move on from that.
Okay, just like you said, the legal fraternity seems to be having a similar position, because it is the law that they all practice, it is the law that they all read and interpret, and I think the issues with the law have, the law has issues with interpretation. You read the law and you interpret it in your own way, and that's why we actually even have the suits for interpretation to know how does this particular court interpret this particular clause of the Constitution to see whether it's ambiguous, it's implied, it's expressed, or whatever that possibly seems to be for us. But of course, here is where we are, and just looking at the different things and issues in here for what we talk about. the conversation now that is hovering around us is the issues of bail. Now, you notice that some people are actually faulting this whole conversation for the timing. It's come at a time when it shouldn't have come at this particular time. The first time I think President Museveni spoke about bail issues, or the first time he spoke about having issues with bail, was on the 25th of February 1987 when he was hosted by the Law Council. That time, I remember the president of the Law Society at that time was now the late Henry Kayondo. It was in 1987, it's about 34 years ago, when the president actually said, your judicial system and the bail issues in here, it just seems like he started talking about it now. But he's first said this, to the best of my knowledge, 34 years ago. People are saying it is possibly bad timing. Do you think this shouldn't have come today or now?
But the president has been very clear. He's not starting today. At least he has been making his case for quite some time now. So, and the whole thing about it is the discussion, the engagements that the president is having with the judicial officers and with the other systems.
Okay. Ndugu Mtita, hold it here. The president is now here and ready to address and to speak to us. It's just 32 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, and I think it's just very prudent that we invite viewers and those watching UBC TV now to State House, where the president will be addressing us very shortly. Welcome to State House, and now let's tune into where the big man is to address.
Ready? Countrymen and countrywomen, greetings. I am happy to talk to you today, and I want to concentrate on the issue of fighting crime. I normally start such discussions by taking the Ugandans back to our history. Uganda, during colonial times and soon after independence, had been paralyzed by bad ideology. Which resulted in the collapse of the whole system. And the bad ideology was mainly on account of sectarianism, believing in sectarianism of religion and of tribes, and looking down upon women, gender chauvinism. Because of that, institutions could not be built, the army could not be built, political parties could not gain majority, and that's how Uganda collapsed, especially after 1966, and all the way up to 1986, Uganda was totally down. And during that time, a lot of human rights abuses and killings, especially killings, happened. We estimate that between 1966 and 1986, we lost maybe 800,000 people killed extrajudicially, outside the law. Here in Ruero alone, we lost about 300,000 people, and the mass graves are there, in case anybody is doubtful. There is a former police lady who was high rank in the police and had been in the police for a long time. Recently, she wrote a book. I forgot to bring it here, but I recommend that you all read that book, written by Mrs. Banjirana, former police officer. You will see what happened. The suffering Uganda went through. Fortunately, since 1965, some of us had been in those old political parties, DP, UPC, Samuel, Kawakayeka, and we started seeing a problem. And from 1965, we decided to do some thinking, and we came out with a new line of 4 principles. The one I always tell you about, the NRM tells you about, of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. Now, because of that, we were able to build a strong force, especially when the other groups were unwise to start using the army, using guns. Because we were committed people, and we could use guns better than anybody who tried to use guns. Those former colonial soldiers thought they could use guns to intimidate us, but they didn't know that we were capable and more committed than them of using those guns better. So that's how eventually we gained the upper hand in 1986. But even before, we had become a strong force, even by 1979. But finally, in 1986, we were able to take control of the country outright, victory. Now, because of that, we introduced democracy. ROCs from the beginning. people to elect whoever they want. We are able to ensure security in the whole country, and discipline in our army because of very tough methods of holding accountable anybody who especially kills wananchi or does some other damage, grab their property or anything like that. Now, because of that, in a very short time, the wananchi were appreciating. You will hear them saying, "Wakili twewaka kutulo, at least we sleep." This was new for Uganda. Never before colonialism, when we had these traditional rulers here who were very cruel people, during colonialism and after, could Ugandans say that? Ntuwakiri twebaka kutulo. But also enjoying democracy to elect the people they want. On the side of the economy, we went from economy of shortages to economy of surpluses now. We no longer have shortages of anything. On the contrary, we've got a big problem of market, where to sell what we produce. We have a big production of coffee now. I think we are approaching 9 million bags. Milk, we are approaching 2.8. We have reached 2.8 billion liters. Sugar, cement, steel products, everything, soaps, all those are in big supply now. And the problem is market. We still have some serious problems. One of them is corruption. But we shall handle it. There's no way we can fail to defeat corruption. Then we have the problem of jobs. But if you read our programs, for instance, our program for the parish model, this problem of jobs will be tackled seriously. Now, with all this progress and the unity, because when we remove sectarianism of religion and tribes, the Ugandans were more united. That is why in the elections of 1996, NRM got 76%, means the people were more united. 1991, no, 96, no, 2001, we had 70% about. 2006 we went down to 59%. 11 we went back to 68%, almost 70%. 2016 we were at 62%. Recently we were at 58, 59%. All the time above 50%. On the first round, we have never had a second round. Because the Constitution says that if you don't get more than 50% on the first round, then you go for the second round. But we have never gone for a second round. Why? Because in spite of the problems, people are more united. In 1962, no party could get more than even 40%. I was telling the MPs of the NRM at Kololo the other day how the elections of 1962 went. You can go and look at the newspapers of that time. The elections were held in April 1962, none of the parties could get more than even 40%. Why? Because they had divided people in tribes and in religious groups. Therefore, this success of the NRM is new and very, very useful, as has been shown. The economy has gone from shortages to surpluses. Yes, there are still problems, but we can solve those problems better now that we have a base than before. But because of that, some people did not want unity. They didn't want unity because unity deprives them of blind support of some groups in the population. Some of the actors would like people to support me because I'm a Munyankore. Support me because I belong to this religion. Not because I am right or wrong, but because I belong to a certain group. Why do they want that? Because they have no good program. They have no good answer to the people's problems. So they want blind support based on identity. We are this religion, we are that religion, we are this tribe. That's what they want. Now, when we brought the new message of no, don't support people because of identity, support them because of solving your problems, then they didn't like it. So some of the groups started fighting the NRM. Lakwena, Kony, Odongolatek, ADF, UPA, Itongwa, all those groups, Kirimutu, were fighting NRM. Why? Because they didn't, this message is dangerous. The message of uniting people is dangerous for them. People must remain divided according in tribes and religion. But we defeated them. And that's why there is total peace in the whole of Uganda. Now, at that time, they were trying to use, in Swahili they call it ana kwa ana, face-to-face confrontation with us, open fighting, guerrilla, or even semi-conventional. Banyankole call it busobwa antama, to try and kusomoza, to try and challenge the army. You come and we fight. They were destroyed, all of them. Now, when that one was defeated Kony in the north, he went South Sudan, we followed him. Even Central Africa, he ended up in Darfur. And he will never come back here. ADF, we defeated them in Semliki Valley and in Mount Rwenzori. So, this open fight with us, they gave up. And what did they resort to? They now resorted to murders, individual murders. I have some File is here. Of the people who were killed. Let me see whether I can get the actual. I remember their names. These are the recent ones, but I wanted. Now they started by killing the Muslim sheikhs. I thought I would get the whole list here, but this is these are killings of the recent ones. But you remember those sheikhs who were killed? Many of them, about 20. Then Kagezi, the prosecutor, was killed, John Kagezi. Major Chugun was killed. Kawesi was killed. Chirumira, Abiriga. Now, those killings, when I studied the issue, I could see that they were happening, and the killers were not being arrested because of essentially two reasons. One reason was infiltration in the police. The police had been infiltrated by criminals. Criminals were in the center of the police force. You remember, that's when I used the word Kawukumi. Banana Weevil had entered the police. But also, I discovered that the police leadership had not detected the lagging behind by the police in policing technology. Because the population of Uganda has increased from 14 million in 1986 to now, I think, 42 million, more than 3 times the expansion. So you can no longer use the same only human-based techniques to deal with such a big population. So I made a speech in Parliament in 2018 where I pointed out this. And I think I gave 12 reasons, 12 ways that we are going to use to defeat this crime. Apart from cleaning the police. Police is not fully cleaned. There are still some weevils there. I hear about them, but they will be cleaned. Now, when we use the new measures, as you would have seen, we have achieved breakthroughs. In the attack on General Katumba, where they killed his daughter and the driver, the suspects have been arrested. And some were killed in the process of resisting arrest. And the ones who are not arrested are now known. We know them. And we shall get them. This was a breakthrough. And then apparently, those who were involved in the suspects in the Katumba case were involved in, some of the guns were involved in earlier cases. When they come to court, you would hear what they are saying. So this was a breakthrough. We are no longer blind. The new measures and the new technologies which were deployed had paid off. Now, these criminals, not being clever, they now launched a new campaign of killings in the Masaka area. They are not necessarily the same group, but broadly speaking, on the same side. Now, immediately we mobilized our big capacity, and we were assisted by the Wananchi. And in no time, quite a number of suspects have been arrested. And we have, the police has got very good evidence on many of them. So, whatever they try to do, we defeat it. The killing of the NRM chairman in Toroko, immediately suspects were arrested. They are now already produced before court. I think they are remanded. Many of them are on remand. This is a very big success. So therefore I'm here to assure Ugandans that this crime wave will be defeated. Why? Partly because of the support of the people, but also because of the partially improved technology of the security forces. And we are still moving. We are still moving. We are going to add more capacity. The cattle rustlers in Karamoja, I went there. There was a lot of outcry. But when I analyzed it, that situation is very easy to deal with. It's not such a difficult situation at all. And the little actions we have taken have already sent a message to everybody in Karamoja. Now, the remaining problem is some of the judicial officers really, and the police, two problems. Some of the judicial officers doing things which have no connection with the reality. I don't want to use very strong words, but what they do seems to have no connection with reality. In the case of Masaka, so many people have died. I think there were 20 or 30. And suspects are given bail. And we are told that bail is a right. Bail of criminals is a right. How about the rights of the victims? What do you say about the rights of the victims? The victims have no rights. Then, the other problem by the police are police bonds. So, this now brings me to the Bible. As we talk about first of all, the criminals in the criminals first. The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 6. For the criminals, the ones who have been killing people. The list I have here is the list of the ones of Masaka. It's a long list. Now it says in Matthew, do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, pigs, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces. So you normally hear me talking of pigs. Now I'm not the one who said that. It is Jesus. It is here. Chapter 7, verse 6. These people who have been killing people are pigs. How can you kill people? Just ordinary people. Old people, 8 years, women, children. That's for the killers now. Killers. Jesus talks about them in Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Now, then some of the other officials, police, and other officials, there is a portion in the Book of Common Prayer. This is Church of Uganda. It is called General Confession. Apparently it was written in 1662. We have erred and strayed from the ways like lost sheep. We have followed too much the devices and the desires of our own hearts. We have offended against the holy laws. We have left undone those things which we ought to have done, and we have done those things which we ought not to have done. And there is no health in us. This is some of the officials. People have been killed. Instead of defending them, you are defending the criminals. More time for the criminals than for the victims. For the suspected criminals. Under our law, you are presumed to be innocent until you are proven guilty. But there is a suspect for a very serious offense. Yes, look at his rights, but also the rights of the victim. The victim is dead. He's not there to ask for bail or to ask for this. He's dead. The victim is dead. And you spend more time on the all your attention is on the suspect, nothing for the victim. No, this is not correct. We cannot accept this. We do not fight so that our people are killed with impunity. And the system is more on the side of the suspects than on the side of the victims. Then now we come to the politicians. I saw the other day some politicians walked out of parliament. That they are walking out because somebody has not got bail. Oh, but Jesus talked about those. Jesus talked about almost everybody. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, it says, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Mulibategerera ku bibala byabwe. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? If so, even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear the good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. So, these political people who say nothing about the victims, nothing. All the attention is on the suspects. So, we shall know you, we shall know them by their fruits, by what they do, by their actions. If I was one of the suspects, or even there were members of my political party, and you are accused of such serious crime, for me, what I would do, press for, is to work expeditiously to prove either myself, if it is myself, or my colleague, if he is a member of my party, to prove him innocent. I would not be say, Temukwatako, don't touch him. No, I would say, no. Let him or her have a quick trial so that the innocence comes out. That's what an honest person, in my opinion, should be doing. But instead, it is cover up. People who are not policemen rush to the scene of crime. Don't rush to the scene of crime. You're going to interfere with the scene of crime. I think some people are trying to find out how much the police know. And they were actually asking, show us the evidence. Can you imagine? You're asking the police to show you a politician, you want to see the evidence which the police has. That is attempt to interfere with the investigations. Now you come to use parliament here to interfere with the process. Because one of the arguments against bail is that, first of all, it annoys Uganda. People get annoyed because for them they may not even know the difference between bail and being released. Bamtadde has been released. So the public get annoyed. This person is suspected to have killed my brother. Now he's walking here. That's how we have got cases of mob justice. Loss of faith in the judicial system. But also, materially, they can interfere with the investigations. So, if the suspects are innocent, their supporters or those connected with them should be saying, quick trial. If the trial delayed, yes, you would say, they have stayed too long. That's why the system provides for 180 days if somebody has not been tried, then there is a problem. But people some of the people don't want the investigations to be concluded. So if you are innocent, demand a quick trial. Don't demand impunity. Don't demand untouchability. Demand expeditious trial. Then you hear some people say, how can members of parliament be arrested? What if they commit a crime? Do they have a right to kill our people with impunity? No. So, I want to assure Ugandans that we shall not be deflected by all these schemes. We shall ensure full accountability. Even the people who died during the riots, those 54, the riots of last year, which were promoted by these indisciplined groups, I long ago gave orders to ensure that there is thorough investigations. The initial investigations I got during that time were that 32 of the 54 people who were killed were rioting and attacking people, but 22 had been hit by stray bullets. And you remember when I made my speech in Mbale, I said stray bullet is not clear. A stray bullet means you are firing at something, then it bypasses the one it is aimed at and goes and catches another person. But who were the original target? I have now renewed my demand that whole report should be audited and concluded. So therefore, on both the side of the government and on the side of the criminals, the NRM insists on full accountability and responsibility. We are now discussing with the stakeholders about all these issues. I set a discussion with the NRM caucus. I saw one of the papers, Monitor, the famous Monitor, the one which works for the enemies of Uganda, saying how they were not in the meeting. How did they know what took place? That shows you how very low caliber these people are. Misrepresenting what you didn't see. But whatever maneuvers, nobody would deflect us from ensuring that there is full accountability. So all the stakeholders are discussing this issue of bail. We shall discuss it and get a solution. It will not be used as a cover to protect criminals. No. Secondly, we are discussing the issue of lenient sentences. Somebody has killed a person, life imprisonment. Life imprisonment. But the person you killed is not in prison. He's in the grave. So, for you want to remain in that hotel called prison for life? Why? Why don't you ensure equality in actions? You killed, you must be killed. If you are to, so that one would not accept. This is life imprisonment. It is life for life, tooth for a tooth, unless you are forgiven for some reason. And as I said during the judge's time, the tribes always insisted on full accountability. But you can have, the tribes could have a pacific solution, but no impunity, no impunity. So therefore, we are continuing to discuss this. Nobody will stop us. People are crying all over the place. I was seeing a paper here today. There was something about a chairman somewhere crying for get it for me, Omona, the chairman of somewhere in Kabarole, in this paper here, was crying about police bond. Get it for me. It is somewhere, you go page by page. The chairman in somewhere was crying about police bond. Now, you get a lot of stories about delays in court and all that. Yes. How can you be in Jerusalem and you don't know what's happening there? The delays were part of the collapse which the state of Uganda went through because of the mistakes. By the time we came into government in 1986, everything was down. No money, the tax revenue in 1986 was only 5 billion shillings. I would like the UBC people to print out for the readers and also in the newspapers the tax collection year by year. Why would anybody be talking about inadequate this, inadequate that, as if you don't know how it all started? We are very happy that we have moved the way we have moved. So why would anybody talk as if he doesn't know how problems in Uganda came about? But we in UPDF, we have been able to defend Uganda in spite of the gaps here and there in the resources we use. How do we defend Uganda? Haven't you seen our soldiers staying in Mama Ingia Pore houses, grass-thatched houses? Can somebody stay in a grass-thatched house shoot you and you die? Or not? We have shown that you can do your duty even when you don't have all the facilities. Even in the question of justice, you can prioritize. These cases are not the same. Murder is not the same as assault, as other things. So you can prioritize, and you say with murder, we give it priority. We don't have enough resources to handle all cases at a go, but let's prioritize murder. Why? Because murder is irreversible. Somebody has been killed, you can't bring him back. Other problems, I can be in prison for a long time, I will come out. I was so many times in prison in Tanzania. There's no Tanzanian prison I did not go to. Bukoba 2 times, Mwanza, Tabora, Dar es Salaam Central Police Station, Ukonga Maximum Security Prison. There's no way I didn't go in prison in Tanzania. Don't you see me here? Didn't I get out and do some useful work? Even exile alone was like a prison, 8 years. So much things. But we came out. Exile was like prison. Being in the Royal Triangle, cut off. We didn't know what was happening to our families, to our. So there's nothing you can compare with the dying. Dying is irreversible, or other issues, problems are reversible. So therefore, this argument of delayed days cannot apply to murder. The court system can prioritize murder, and the murder cases are not so many. If you take the whole country, they are not the majority of the cases, of the backlog. So the question of murder can be addressed in spite of. Now, this is the problem of Kabarole. Livestock thieves. This is on page of today, page 12 of New Vision. On the bottom there. Livestock thieves that are mainly targeting cows have invaded Kabarole district. The thieves mainly attacked the sub-counties of Harugongo, Chitwamba, Kazingo, and Hachibari. The affected areas are all adjacent to the Toro Semriki Game Reserve in Toroko district. Godfrey Musumba, the Harugongo sub-county chairperson, said more than 20 cows were stolen last month. Musumba said the thieves that are terrorizing the area are using the game reserve as their hideout. They suspect that the livestock thieves could be exporting whatever they steal to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The thieves have for long terrorized this place. They use the footpath within the Toro Semriki Game Reserve to gain access to Ntoroko. On Tuesday night, angry residents of Nyantaboma village in Harugongo arrested and killed 2 suspected cattle thieves before burning their bodies to ashes. That is now justice. The duo, whose identities remain unknown, was allegedly arrested with 4 cows stolen from Harugongo. Residents said the duo were wearing multiple clothes. Nyataboma village LC1 chairperson Hape Katorogo said some pastoralists have migrated from the area due to increasing insecurity. We are living in fear because of the thieves who have invaded our area. Every night we receive reports of stolen livestock. The theft of livestock has, according to Katorogo, affected the supply of milk in the area. Some pastoralists have relocated to other areas due to the continuous theft of livestock. It is unfortunate that whereas the community is working hard to get rid of poverty, they are pulled back by acts of insecurity. So this will undermine these programs we have, Operation Wealth Creation, the parish model. Chitramba chairperson Jack Magezi accused the police of releasing suspected cattle thieves on bond without producing them before courts of law. One of the people said it is unfortunate that these 2 were killed before they shared any information with security. We suspect the Toro Semriki Game Reserve is harboring criminals and so on. So this is not a joke. Now here people here are crying, and 2 people were killed. Oh, how can we have a system like this? So therefore, for the police, I will not accept the issue of bond for police, by police. In cases like this, you give bond. I'm going to discuss with the Attorney General to see how to stop this nonsense from the police side. On the side of bail, we are going to discuss with all the stakeholders, the NRM caucus people, the Wananchi in the countryside, and the judiciary, to see how we stop bail being misused by using it to cover criminals. On the issue of the resources for the courts, we have put more money. They have been having a budget of 190 billion. We have now pushed it to about almost 400 billion now, and we are targeting 800 billion. And when we get there, we shall have more network of courts in the whole country. This one we have agreed with the Chief Justice and the judiciary in general. That's what I wanted to mention on the issue of bail. Then I would like to conclude by talking a little bit about the funny people I see on commenting, writing. The other day I gave a speech on the issue of human rights. I was explaining, really explaining our doctrine on the human rights. Then I saw people saying that I was doing it because of donors. People are really sick. I am doing things because of donors. Now, here, I have the NRA Code of Conduct, NRA Code of Conduct. I will publish it in the papers for those who are interested. This was adopted at Kanyanda, at the Kanyanda Conference of 1981, 82 December. And the NRA code says, dealing with the public, never abuse, insult, shout at, or beat any member of the public. Never take anything in the form of money or property from any member of the public, not even somebody's sweet bananas or sugar canes, on the ground that it is mere sugar cane without paying for the same. Pay promptly for anything you take and in cash. Never kill any member of the public or any captured prisoners, as the guns should only be reserved for armed enemies or opponents, armed opponents. Return anything you borrow from the public. Offer help to the members of the public who may be in the territory of your unit. Offer medical treatment to members of the public who may be in the territory of your unit. Never develop illegitimate relationship with any woman, because there are no women as such waiting for passing soldiers, yet many women are wives or daughters of somebody somewhere. Any illegitimate relationship is bound to harm our good relations with the public. There should be no consumption of alcohol until the end of the war. Drunken soldiers are bound to misuse the guns which are given to them for the defense of the people, and so on. So this one was adopted in 1981. Where were the donors? Which donors were we trying to impress? Huh? These are structures of the courts and so on. So therefore, what I said the other day was to educate the public, and internally I had already shared those documents which I put out with some elements of the armed forces, and we shall continue to discuss them. So you can deceive yourselves by claiming all sorts of things, but what I told you is our doctrine. That's what we believe. It is not for show. It is not to impress donors or anybody. It is for our own beliefs and our own doctrine and our own modus operandi. I thank you and I wish you good luck.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu.
Well, thank you so much. General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has addressed the nation in just the last 1 hour. And of course, Ndugu Mtuta, the president has made his comments. He's addressed the nation, and of course, he said it all. What I'm tending to think is that President Museveni is now adopting a system where if he's misunderstood, if he's taken out of context, then he will take a trouble upon himself to come and explain to the public what he really means on and over certain issues. Very briefly, because people have heard him speak, what have you made of the president's speech tonight?
I think most of the things, like we had said earlier, almost fitted in that within what we had discussed. Not that we were privy to what he was going to speak, but we expected.
Read the mood.
Something will come up on the bail, something will come up on the insecurity, and something will come up about the arrested MPs. And exactly, those are some of the issues that he did raise in his speech.
He's going to talk to the police, of course, about the bonds, and of course also discuss with the Attorney General on the bail bit of it. Do you think President Museveni will have his day with these two issues of bond and bail, which are now a very hot discussion in this country?
It is tricky on those two, but it can be segregated, like he had talked about the murder cases, the bail of suspects of course, normally people murder cases and people don't get bail, but he is looking at that, so that can be put aside for a suspect on murder may not necessarily have a bail, which has been most cases. But also, like he put it, it's sometimes very disheartening to see a person who has committed an offense free. But also, of course, the police have also been sometimes reasoning that some people of the public, you have a case, you report a case, an arrest is done, but then you cannot come and make a statement. Sometimes even the statement you make, the information is not clear. So I think the police has also been running around that and having it sometimes a problem to arrest a person, keep a person against no evidence. Okay. So that happens because they also blame some members of the public not coming up with the right information that is needed to keep a person or to take a person to court. But he has put it rightly that some of those will be segregated, but he said, like he did say, that's going to talk to the Attorney General and that is going to stop.
Finally, do you think he's clarified his position, his earlier position, or he's just confused us more?
Depending on how one understood it.
And how one chooses to understand.
Exactly. Some people could even be more confused about what happens next. But many things he has tried to explain so that he's not misunderstood, especially when some people have been saying he's doing some of this because of the pressure, the political pressure, the donor pressure.
And the donors, and I think that's
exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Mtuta here, and of course, thanking our viewers out there. That has been the president who spoken to us tonight, and he's clarified on his earlier position over the police bonds and the bails. Conversation, a discussion that has been hovering in our conversation spaces for the past 1 week, but he promises that he's going to engage the stakeholders, the different stakeholders, the enforcers, police, and of course the Attorney General to give and to advise on how best this should be handled and done. And of course, also getting to the caucus, we wait to hear and see from the earlier position that caucus had to the next steps they're on. But like I said earlier on, that I'm now starting to think that if the president says something and he's taken out of context, it now has to become his it has to become his discipline exactly. It's now going to become a routine for him to come back to explain to the people and say, this is exactly what I mean. And I think that's how we possibly keep or will get to understand much more of this. Now, thank you very much. We'll just stop this here for tonight and get ready for the bulletin at 10 o'clock. That will be coming on in next a couple of minutes. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. Thank you so much, Ndugu Mtuta, for God and my country. Stay blessed. Good evening and a blessed weekend. 20 minutes.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Most people never notice that all them want and need.
This special day, a legend comes on your national TV. When you think of legends, you can't figure out DJ Dan Starboy, the reggae and dancehall ambassador.
On the yard, on the yard.
Have your own style. I got to love you. You know me love you. Yeah.
Get certified of 99 greatest hits on UBC TV every Friday, 11 p.m.
Rasta no mean to fight. Rasta mean to love the people. Rasta no mean to fight every time. One love you.